The Senate will come back to order. I hope the pro tem fed y'all well. What? The Senate will return to order. I recognize the senator from the 3rd for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move or ask for unanimous consent to pull Senate Bill 480 off the table.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 480, a bill by Senator Hodges of the 3rd and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 10 of Title 49 of the OCGA relating to the Georgia Board of Healthcare Workforce so as to provide for a student loan repayment for mental health and substance use professionals serving in certain capacities, to provide for definitions and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the senator's motion? Hearing none, I recognize the senator from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I bring you Senate Bill 480, which is simply an effort to try to provide more mental health care workers in underserved areas. It does that by providing loan repayment of student debt for mental health and substance abuse professionals, providing services to underserved youth in this state or practicing in unserved geographic areas, or communities in the state that are disproportionately impacted by social determinants of health. And all this will be determined by the Georgia Healthcare Workforce Board. To be eligible, basically, you have to be a legal resident of the state. You have to be licensed, a medical or mental health worker, or a substance abuse professional in the state. You have to apply to the board. You have to have existing student debt that is not in default. Board sets the rules and the regs, approves applications, have maximum 5 years, annual installments against the debt. During that 5-year period, you must remain Georgia resident, must maintain your license in Georgia, and you must perform your services in the areas designated. And this is contingent upon appropriations by the legislature.
You have no questions, Senator.
Then I yield the well. Thank you, sir.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 44, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the senator from the 45th. You got to make a motion, Senator. You got to make a motion.
Sorry, Mr. President, I was getting ahead of myself.
Well, you've been down here so much, I could see where you felt real comfortable doing that. So,
True statement, asking for unanimous consent to have Senate Bill 464 lifted from the table.
Senator has moved that 464 be lifted from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 464, a bill by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 17 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to teachers and other school personnel so as to establish the school supplies for teachers program and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon of the 45th District Chairman.
Is there objection? Without objection, recognize the senator from the 45th. Hey, Senator, sit tight right there. We're going to read she's going to read the amendments real quick.
Senator Hickman of the 4th and others offer the following amendment to amend Senate Bill 464 by replacing lines 1 through 2 with the following. To amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to elementary and secondary education so as to revise the Georgia Early Literacy Act to establish the school supplies and for other purposes. Senator Dixon of the 45th offers the following amendment to amend Senate Bill 464 by replacing teachers with educators on line 3, by replacing teachers with educators on line 6 and 10, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 51st, do you have your light on?
Yes, sir. Ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 46th for a business in the Capitol.
Without objection, senator from the 46th is excused. Senator from the 45th, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate colleagues, I bring SB 464 before you. It's the Teacher School Supplies Act. And what it does, currently teachers, they'll spend anywhere from $400 to $600 a year. Could be more than that depending on what subject they're teaching out of their pocket for classroom supplies. And for the past few years, the Department of Education, the State Department of Education has been giving teachers a stipend of anywhere from $150 to $200 a year from the COVID emergency fund, but those funds are running out. And this bill simply would codify this program into law. There are no appropriations for it this year. It would be subject to appropriations in the future. We just want to make sure this program does not go away. And with that, Mr. President, be happy to answer any questions. But also, I need to talk about my amendment first. Amendment 2, what it does, replacing teachers with educators, what that simply is doing is we wanted, working with DOE, we wanted to make sure that if we do fund this, it wouldn't just go to teachers, it could go to parapros, administrators, and any employees that are in good standing. So that's the reason for the amendment. And I'll let the senator from the 4th speak to amendment number 1. Be happy to answer any questions now.
All right, Senator, you had no questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield well.
Recognize the senator from the 4th to speak to his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a very friendly amendment. Well, we have discussed it, but let me just say the amendment addresses issues that have arisen around universal screeners. And if you remember, universal screeners are the tests that our students are taking in K through 3. Having multiple universal screeners makes it impossible to compare data from school system to school system. We want to be able to compare Forsyth County to Chatham County to Bullock County to Evans County. When with what the DOE is trying to put in place, that won't happen. This amendment remedies the problem by requiring that all school systems use the free of charge universal screener. Systems may use any other screener in addition to the free screener. We know that Georgia DOE is developing a free of charge screener. However, the screener will not be operational until August of 2024, the date that all school systems must begin screening students. We also know that the free screener is in development, is being produced by an organization called DRC, and DRC has never developed a screener in the past. So therefore, we do not even know whether this screener will work, much less work by August the 1st. The background on this is that the senators from the 19th, senator from the 12th, senator from the 6th, senator from 45th, and myself all serve on the Council on Literacy. And then we believe that the state should invest in a known commodity, a screener that has been analyzed for effectiveness, and one that on a state contract winds up cheaper than the one being developed. We believe that early estimates of the top 5 screeners analyzed by the Deal Center will produce a contract that is significantly less money than the one being developed by DRC for the Georgia Department of Education. Finally, one screener will allow us to know how districts and schools compare to each other, so we can determine whether Scriven County compares to Jenkins County, to Burke County, to Forsyth County, to Bullitt County. Oddly enough, North Carolina just recently adopted one screener for the entire school system in North Carolina. So let me tell you about the amendment. Definitions are included for the Sandra Deal Center and the Council for Literacy. By May 15, 2024, the State Board of Education shall approve the memorandum of agreement between the Council and the Georgia DOE for a free universal reading screener for use by public schools and local school systems as part of their comprehensive literacy programs, which meet the criteria set in House Bill 538, which you passed in this chamber last year. By June of 24, the Georgia DOE shall publish on its public website the free universal reading screener provided by the Georgia DOE that each public school and local school system shall adopt and administer in order to comply with the requirements of the Early Literacy Act, House Bill 538. The Council, in collaboration with the Deal Center and the Office of Planning and Budget, shall identify a universal reading screener that meets the criteria established by the State Board of Education as provided in the Early Literacy Act. The Council shall enter into a memorandum agreement with the Georgia DOE to make such universal reading screener available for use free of charge in public schools and local school systems. This amendment is effective upon the governor's signature. Mr. President, I yield the will.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none. Question is on Amendment 1 from the senator from the 4th. Is there objection to Amendment 1? Without objection, Amendment 1 is added. Next on your desk is Amendment 2, authored by the senator from the 45th who offered the underlining bill. Is there objection to the Amendment 2? Without objection, Amendment 2 is added. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 27th, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, is it not true that I just asked my 6th grader how I should vote on this bill, and she texted me a response and said, quote, "You should vote yes because my teachers are broke, so it holds back on some of our project school supplies." Is that not true, Mr. President?
Yeah, you got a smart little 6-year-old. Hey, but Senator, from the 27th, you know, that big old company you operate could make a nice contribution to the school system too, you know. On the passage of the bill The yeas are 52 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, therefore passed as amended. Senator from the 27th, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that given my humble means, I'd be happy to match your donation 10 cents on the dollar?
Sounds like we gambling in here. All right. Senate Bill, Senator from the 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move that we take Senate Bill 472 off the table.
Senator has asked for SB 472 to be taken off the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 472, a bill by Senator Albers of the 56 and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 36 of Chapter 1 of Title 10 of the OCGA relating to online marketplace requirements and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Public Safety recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the Senator from the 56 motion? Without objection, Senator 56, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the Combating Organized Retail Crime Act. As you know, the Senate has led on this year over year. In 2022, we passed the Inform Act to make sure that marketplaces weren't reselling stolen merchandise. This simply closes a loophole to make sure people aren't doing cash transactions while they're taking from our great companies here in Georgia and reselling them on the web. If there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. Report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. And the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the senator from the 29th.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to remove Senate Bill 517 off the table.
Senators requested that 517 be removed off the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 517, a bill by Senator Robertson of the 29th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 3 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to justification and excuse under defenses to criminal prosecutions, so as to provide for immunity from certain criminal prosecutions against law enforcement officers whose threat or use of force is justified or otherwise lawful and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. A minority report has been filed. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the motion? Without objection, the senator from the 29th. Recognize you. Speak to the bill.
Senators, let me start out by telling you what this legislation does not do. This legislation does not grant immunity to any law enforcement officer who operates outside of policy, procedure, or law. All this legislation does is it allows a law enforcement officer who has effected an arrest on a misdemeanor charge, let's say, without any force being used back toward the officer from the individual who's being arrested. When that officer is charged, if that officer is charged and indicted by the grand jury, the officer would be allowed under Title 17 and Title 16 to explain that the force he or she used was used during a lawful arrest. An example, Officer Robertson, shows up to the scene of a shoplifting from a 911 call. The shop owner points out the individual who has stolen something, a bottle of perfume or a bottle of beer. As I approach the individual and let them know that I'm there to detain them, they turn to run, not toward me, but away from me. I chase that individual. I get close enough to that individual that I reach out, I grab the individual, I push the individual, or I tackle the individual. In the process of that individual falling, they are injured. And let's say they're injured. An ambulance comes, takes them to the hospital, whatever. They're charged with the misdemeanor charge, whatever they may be. Afterwards, a claim is made by the prosecutor. I think we know, everybody has heard about the infamous ham sandwich. I'm taken to the grand jury, and I'm charged with injuring that individual. All this legislation does is once I'm indicted, I can make a plea to the court prior to my trial that the injury occurred to that individual while I was making a legal arrest. The key word there being arrest. And while I was making that arrest, I was doing so within the policies and procedures established by the law enforcement agency that I'm sworn to work for and sworn to uphold. I did it according to the rules laid out by the Constitution of Georgia. And I was doing it legally. I was allowed to do it. That does not prevent the judge from saying no in my case moving forward, but it does give the judge the opportunity to say, if Officer Robertson, if this happened this way, because Officer Robertson was acting within the scope of his responsibilities, he was acting legally, therefore, Officer Robertson has what we have here in this body, which is qualified immunity. It would happen the same thing in a civil case. If somebody brought civil action because of the injury, they would say, if Officer Robertson was acting within the policies and procedures of his agency in making this arrest that resulted in this injury, if he was operating within the guidelines of the Georgia Constitution and within the responsibilities of a law enforcement post-certified law enforcement officer in the state of Georgia, then he has qualified immunity. Now, if Officer Robertson was malicious, was acting outside of his department policy, if my department should have a policy that said we do not chase misdemeanors on foot, and I chased the individual anyway, and I caused the injury doing that, then I can tell you now the agency would not support me. I would not have qualified immunity because I was acting outside of the policy of which I'm required to operate within of the agency I work for. So I just want to be perfectly clear. This bill 517 is very simple. It points out the two code sections that my attorney is allowed to offer to the court after I'm indicted in order to show that I had immunity in causing the injury to the person. We are not talking about shootouts. We're not talking about force-on-force engagements. We are talking about inadvertent injuries that happen to individuals while law enforcement officers are making an arrest. And Mr. President, I will yield the well if there are no questions.
You do have one question, Senator. Senator from the second.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
Absolutely.
Senator, in your scenario, what if the shopkeeper identifies the wrong person and you're in plain clothes and I don't know you from a can of paint and you point at me and I decide to take off and you chase me? Under that example, I'm not the person that did it, but I don't know you and you look at me, and if you look at me right now, I might run.
That's right.
Would you then be immune from my injury even if I wasn't the right suspect?
That would be the judge's determination to make that. If you were injured in that, I was indicted by the grand jury, and then my attorney pled either under 17 or 16 that I had qualified immunity, then the judge looks at it. And the judge says, first of all, and we're hypothetical, my hypothetical to yours, the judge looks at it and says, you know what? The shopkeeper identified the wrong person. That is not Officer Robertson's fault. But did Officer Robertson identify himself? Should the injured party have reasonably realized that that was a law enforcement officer? And he could look at that and say, absolutely not. Thereby, I would not have qualified immunity. I would go to trial, and it would be up to the jury or bench trial as to whether I was guilty of the injury or not, whether it be criminal or civil.
And final question, Senator.
I continue to yield.
If you yield. Senator, is it not true that body-worn cameras are not in statute in this state? Not every agency or officer, both in uniform or plain clothes, has to wear body-worn cameras, so it would be hard for that individual to refute your testimony about you identifying yourself if there's not a body-worn camera to refute such evidence?
I worked in an agency where we required body-worn cameras, and so in my situation, there would be. And then I think many cases have been solved. A case of unnecessary force in South Carolina on other types of cameras, security cameras and other that nature, but it always works that way. But what we're not trying to do here is we're not trying to refute the actions. What we're trying to do is offer an opportunity for the judge to consider the defense. And if the judge feels there's not enough evidence to support my side of the story, then he allows the case to move forward, whether it be criminal or civil. Thank you for those questions. And with that, Mr. President, I yield the well.
Senator has yielded. Recognize Senator from the 14th.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most sensational events of the 2022 election year was my general election debate against my opponent. Millions of viewers tuned in. But one of the topics that came up in this debate was the issue of law enforcement and do I back the blue? My Republican opponent was of the opinion that I did not back the blue. So I had to answer a question about police. And what I basically said in response to the question was that I think that what we have done is we have tolerated essentially wartime conditions for some of our police on the front line. Why? Because what do we ask them to do? We ask them to go respond to mental health crises that they may not have training to respond to. We ask them to respond to an apartment or a condo or a building where they don't know what kind of firepower their opposition has, the people that they're responding to, because we allow weapons that are, essentially war weapons with high stopping power and high velocity that scared the police officers in Uvalde, if you recall that. So we create these conditions for police officers, and we don't pay them enough, right? Where they don't have working conditions that are conducive to a job that they can do without trauma, a job that they can have confidence that they're going to come home every night. So let's pay attention to that. Let's pay attention to the basic working conditions these officers deal with and not put them in situations where they have to worry about exactly what the senator is talking about in terms of when they get to court, do they have immunity or not? And, look, that's my radical liberal answer, whatever. But as soon as the debate was over, I walked off the stage, and there was an off-duty officer who was right there watching. And he shook my hand, and he said, "Thank you very much for what you said." So, there's a big picture here that is beyond this sort of polarized debate about whether police should have weapons of war, militarized, if the military's got extra equipment, local police departments have it because they're beefing themselves up for conflict against their own citizenry. That's one model of how we think about backing the blue. What I would encourage y'all to think about is that there is a much better way to think about backing the blue that has to do with, are they making enough money? Are they responding to the crises that they're trained to respond to? And are we letting the citizens that they respond to carry weapons that can blow a melon-sized hole in their body? And I think those are the questions this body should be taking up. For that reason, I respectfully oppose the legislation. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? We do have a minority report that was read before the bill came, before the author spoke on the bill. Would the senator from the 42nd like to close out, or is this 22nd? You're good? You wave? Wave, okay, so you're waving. So we got the minority report on record. And does any other senator wish to speak for or against this measure? Hearing none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 27th, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that I have a new text from my sixth grader while the author of the bill was in the well? And is it not true that she said, no offense, LOL, but what hairstyle is that guy going for? Is that not true, Mr. President?
Senator, I just don't know what to say about that. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 34, the nays are 17. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the senator from the 35th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to remove Senate Bill 407 from the table.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 407, a bill by Senator James of the 35th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 35 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding law enforcement officers and agencies, so as to require the documenting of certain information in incidents of family violence and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the senator's motion? Without objection, Senator, you can present the bill right there from your seat, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Senate Bill 107 is called the Raisha Danielle Hurd Act. It will provide specific incident reporting requirements for law enforcement officers responding to incidents of actual or alleged family violence. This bill provides reporting requirements for law enforcement officers responding to incidents of actual or alleged family violence. And in light of the staggering statistics that underscore an urgent need for action, I come before you today to bring this bill because in Georgia, 35.1% of women and 39.9% of men experience physical, violent, sexual violence, and stalking from their current or former intimate partners. there are around 40,000 incidents of domestic violence each year. Unfortunately, this young lady, Danielle Hurd, was murdered. I put her picture right here on my desk, if anyone wants to see it. Just 3 months ago, she was getting out of the car after visiting her father at the hospital with her 6-year-old and her sister-in-law, and someone ran from behind the house and shot her. It happened to be the person that she called the police for 9 times in less than 3 months, had gotten a restraining order, and it expired, and got another one since then. He murdered her. He knew she was 4 months pregnant, shot her twice in the stomach and twice in the head in front of her child. This, I thought, was an isolated incident, and I found out from the police all over the state of Georgia and all over the United States this is happening. We had no way, when she called the police 9 different times, they were never arresting him. Only one of those times he was not at home. Every other time he was. So, Mr. President, I'm offering this bill to see if we can put critical legislation in that can better protect victims, hold criminal accountable, and work toward eradicating family violence from our communities, and make sure that every family receives the protection and justice they deserve. If there are no questions, Mr. President, I will yield the will and ask for favorable consideration for Senate Bill 407. Thank you.
There are no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hearing none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hearing none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Senator from the 32nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate Bill 307 be removed from the table.
Senators move that Senate Bill 307 be taken off the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 307, a bill by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 46 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to certification of private review agents, so as to provide for health insurers to implement and maintain a program that allows for the selective application of reductions in prior authorization and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. The Committee of Insurance and Labor offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 307, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 46 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to certification of private review agents, so as to provide for health insurers to implement and maintain a program that allows for the selective application of reductions in prior authorization requirements and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the senator's motion? Hearing none, recognize the senator from the 32nd. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill relates to the process of prior authorization, which is a requirement for approval of medical treatment by insurance companies. Senate Bill 307 requires that insurance companies create a fast-track program based on performance. It doesn't tell them how they have to do it. They would report their program to the Commissioner of Insurance by July 1st of 2025, and I've not heard of any opposition to the bill. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Senator from the 28th, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to be excused from voting on SB 307 pursuant to Senate Rule 5-1.8D.
Without objection, the senator is excused. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Senator from the 31st, for what purpose do you rise?
Good evening, Mr. President. I ask that we lift from the table Senate Bill 347.
Senate Bill 347. Senators ask it be removed from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 347, a bill by Senator Ana Vertarte of the 31st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 1562 of the OCGA relating to the number of judges of superior courts, so as to provide for an additional judge of the superior courts of the Tallapoosa Judicial Circuit and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the senator's motion? Hearing none, Senator from the 31st, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 347 creates an additional judge for the Tallapoosa Judicial Circuit covering Haralson and Polk County. Mr. President, I'll yield for questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51 and the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Senator from the 18th. No, you don't. Your button was mashed, so I didn't know. Senator from the 17th.
I ask unanimous consent that Senate Bill 533 be lifted from the table.
Senators move that 533 be lifted from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 533, a bill by Senator Strickland of the 17th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 177130 of the OCGA relating to proceedings upon plea of mental incompetency to stand trial, so to provide for jail-based competency restoration programs and further purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the senator from the 17th motion? Hearing none, Senator for 17th, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I bring to you Senate Bill 533. It comes from our Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, Commissioner Tanner, and also our Behavioral Health Reform Innovation Commission, in particular the forensic work group that was led by Judge Gosselin of Hall County. What the bill is doing is it is trying to speed up the process for us dealing with the restoration proceedings for those who have been found to be not competent to stand trial. Currently have a average wait time of 275 days for someone who sits in jail waiting to be restored for competency so they can have their day in court and face the charges against them. This bill allows for our department to contract with local sheriffs to do jail-based restorations. They can go inside our jails and actually speed this process up versus waiting on state beds. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Senator, apparently you must have left your light on because you're the only person that has a question to your question.
Well, maybe I have a question to ask myself. Isn't it true? I'll move on.
You know, you lawyers could argue with anything. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objections to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the senator from the 40th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to remove Senate Bill 198 from the table.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 198, a bill by Senator Harrell of the 40th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 37 of the OCGA relating to governing and regulation of mental health so as to create the Georgians with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Innovation Commission and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 198, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 37 of the OCGA relating to governing and regulation of mental health, so as to create the Georgians with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Innovation Commission and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objections to the Senator from the 40's motion? Without objection, Senator from the 40 speaks to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. Senate Bill 198 creates the Georgians with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Innovation Commission. This was a recommendation from a study committee that I co-chaired with the senator from the 56th. It creates an innovation with 22 members. 6 are appointed by the governor, 8 by the lieutenant governor, and 8 by the Speaker of the House. Each member of the committee brings specific expertise to the commission. When the senator from the 56th and I had the study committee, we had hearings all over the state, and we heard about how broken the infrastructure was for services for people who get the home and community-based service waivers that we are helping to fund. We need to pull this group together to have these experts come up with the solutions for building back the infrastructure so that when we do fund these waivers and people go and get the services, they can actually get the services that they need. There is a sunset for 5 years for the commission to get its work done. And Mr. President, if there are questions, I will yield.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objections to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 2. This bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. I want to, before we move on any further, there was a request made earlier about needing a autograph picture. Mr. Commissioner, won't you come up here? An autograph picture of this edition of Georgia Forestry right here. And I think that's for you, Nan. He personally autographed it for you.
Personally autographed.
Oh, it is.
He put hearts on it and everything. With love from old Commissioner Harper right here. So, Nan,
This is a keeper.
This is
full of information.
I think we need to frame it.
Yes.
Cover it in plastic, make sure it doesn't get bent,
Amen.
and cherish it and hold it forever.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Senator from the 51st, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Could you ask Commissioner Dutton to get up on the stool so we can see him?
Why don't you address this body and tell them to go jump? Go on, tell them, you the commissioner, tell them you the new law dog in town.
Well, to my distinguished friend, the majority leader, as I've said before in this distinguished body, I'm tall enough, my friend. It is always good to see all of you. I just want to tell you thank you for what you do for agriculture and our work together to move our #1 industry forward. It's an honor to work with all of y'all, and it's an honor to present my good friends who requested a signed copy of Georgia Forestry to the senator from the 36th and my good friend, the president of the Senate, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. But thank y'all for what y'all are doing. It's good to be with you. I appreciate the work y'all are doing for the people of the great state of Georgia. Right. Thank y'all very much. Y'all keep plowing.
This is seriously a great issue. Thank you for doing this.
You know, I always like my good friends to forget my name when they're talking about me, like the commissioner just did. And I really do think this looking off into the distance, into the wild hitherland, I'm gonna pass this around. He's in deep thought right here. So it's inspiring. Yeah, it's inspiring. You're correct. So
That's right.
All right. Senator from the 23rd.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true, Mr. President, it's big hat, no cattle?
Whoa! Whoa! Y'all have to talk about that on your own time. We're not going to take that up. All right, I recognize the senator from the 5th.
Mr. President, requesting to remove SB 202 off the table.
The senator from the 5th has moved that 202 be taken from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 202, a bill by Senator Robin of the 5th and others, a bill to be titled an act to amend Article 11 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to public school property and facilities so as to provide for an outdoor learning spaces pilot program and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon of the 45th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Education and Youth offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 202. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 11 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to public school property and facilities so as to provide for an outdoor learning spaces pilot program and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, senators, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dear colleagues, you have heard a lot of simple bill today, but this is a smart bill and a very short bill, half a page. You have voted before, somehow just didn't came out of the House committee last time, a couple of years ago, to create a pilot program, the school year pilot program. So if you don't have any questions, I'm going to spare your time. Get out of here if it's okay.
You do have one question, Senator. Senator from the 28th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, do you yield?
Of course, for the rules chair.
Senator, is this your first bill?
Not really. I passed it again, so if you want to call it the first bill, then I'll go with it. It's the first bill I passed a couple of sessions ago.
Okay, well, Senator, if you further yield.
Of course.
If it's not your first bill, then shouldn't you know that you're supposed to be at your seat when called to the well? Being the rules chairman, I feel the necessity to lay out the rules.
At any time, Senator.
Yeah, I yield
any
away.
time. You don't have to take that abuse. You don't have to take that abuse, Senator. We're talking about outdoor playgrounds right now, man. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 27th, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr.
State your
President.
inquiry.
Is it not true that this Senate Bill 202 makes it easier to vote and harder to cheat?
I think you're right, Senator. I think the Senator knows what he speaks. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. You know, I'm going to let you have another bill. I wish everybody was that happy when they pass a bill, you know? The senator from the 5th actually appreciates what I'm doing up here. Everybody else comes crying to me, so. All right. Senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent for Senate Bill 422 to be levitated from the table.
Senator from the 45th is asked to levitate the bill from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 422, a bill by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 46 of the OCGA relating to public utilities and public transportation so as to modify the percentage limitation as to the amount of the investments an electric membership corporation may make and maintain and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowsert of the 46th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 422. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 46 of the OCGA relating to public utilities and public transportation so as to require an electric membership corporation to disclose certain acquisitions and other information to its members within a certain time frame, to modify the percentage limitation as to the amount of the investments an electric membership corporation may make and maintain and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, I recognize the senator from the 45th to speak to Senate Bill 422.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 422 has to do with natural gas companies and EMCs. There are 4 natural gas marketers in the state of Georgia owned by EMCs. It's Cobb EMC, Walton EMC, Central Georgia EMC, and Coweta Fayette EMC. What this bill does is, over 20 years ago, when the legislator deregulated natural gas, there was a provision that capped the investment EMCs could put on their gas marketers at 15% of their fixed assets. What this bill would do, it would raise that from 15% to 25%, so they could grow their area that they operate in. It would also require them to disclose to their members within 6 months of any direct acquisitions, partial or total, of any other companies. Also would have them disclose any loans or debits. With that, Mr. President, be happy to answer any questions, or I'll yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. How many bills you had tonight? 6? My God, that's more than I passed in 10 years. 6? Good grief. Oh, man. Good job tonight, Senator. You did good. You did good. All right. Recognize the senator from the 7th for a motion. Got to do a motion, Senator.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent that Senate Bill 451 be lifted from the table.
Senators move that Senate Bill 451 be removed from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 451, a bill by Senator Islam Parks of the 7th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 4 of Title 38 of the OCGA relating to veteran benefits so as to place certain requirement on the Department of Veterans Service to amend Title 7 of the OCGA relating to banking and finance so as to create a voluntary loan program and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Banking and Financial Institutions recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Summers of the 13th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Banking and Financial Institutions offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 451, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 15 of Chapter 1 of Title 10 of the OCGA relating to Fair Business Practices Act, so as to provide for certain protections for veterans and other eligible persons applying for benefits, to provide for limitations, to provide for violations, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to Senator from the 7th's motion? Hearing none, I recognize the Senator from the 7th. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I present to you Senate Bill 451, the Preserving Lawful Utilization of Services for Veterans Act of 2024. This legislation protects Georgia veterans from bad actors, ensuring that our veterans receive the highest quality of service. This bill seeks to regulate professional services, ensuring that they act in the best interest of veterans and do not exploit their need of assistance. And so basically the goal is to prevent our veterans from being exploited from predatory service providers. SB 451 is designed to regulate the companies that help veterans in the following way. It mandates that veterans sign and orally agree acknowledging the availability of free service providers, which is incredibly important. It requires companies to wait until after the first year post-discharge to be engaged for services. It prohibits charging a sign-up fee. Payment is contingent upon a successful outcome, and it limits the money that a company may make from helping the veteran. It also requires companies to be upfront about the payment specifics. Prohibits the use of international call centers or data centers for processing veterans' information, which is a data privacy issue, and prohibits aggressive and direct solicitation. These are practical solutions to ensure ethical operations, and it eliminates bad actors. So Senate Bill 451 is not just a regulatory measure, it is a commitment to our veterans' welfare, ensuring they receive the benefits they deserve without falling to prey to predatory practices. I urge my fellow senators to please support this bill. Mr. President, if I have any questions, let me know, and if not, I will yield the ball.
Senator, isn't this your first bill?
This is my second bill.
Second bill. Is there a second bill? Y'all sure about that?
Second bill.
Senator from the 51st, you have a question?
I do have a question. If the senator, will you yield?
Yes, I yield.
Considering the media is back here in the back of the room, would you think they'll give you a fair shot at this bill, or how are they going to twist it and make it a partisan issue tomorrow in the paper? Thank you. You don't have to answer that.
Bingo.
All right, you have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the ball.
Senator from the 53rd. Senator from the 53rd has a question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
I yield.
I mean, I wish I'd had more time to study this legislation, but from what I can just quickly gather, I mean, this seems like a really bad bill for veterans because it makes it against the law for a veteran to go hire someone for services, right? I mean, my father's a veteran. If he wanted to go hire someone for services, this bill would make it illegal to do that, would it not?
This bill does not do that. It does not make it illegal to work with professional services. It just regulates predatory service actors.
Okay, Senator further yield.
Yes.
So like on line 31, no person shall receive compensation for referring any individual to another person to advise. Line 33, no person shall receive compensation for any services rendered to a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
when can a veteran hire someone for a service?
no,
That
you,
might be a better question.
you can hire a company to help you obtain your benefits. Now, what this bill is doing is making sure that there are some companies, these bad actors, that charge unnecessary fees and will take money up front from veterans and take advantage of vulnerable veterans. And so what I'm saying, well, in this bill, it says that you will only get paid if you have a successful outcome. So you can hire a private company to help you, professional services.
So how does that work? If I hire a private company, but they only get paid if they're successful?
Correct. You can, right now, you can go to a veteran service organization and get free services, and the majority of people do. And for complex cases, they hire these professional services to help them. But right now, what's happening all across the country is that people are being taken advantage of, veterans are. So this bill is to make sure that veterans in Georgia are protected and not taken advantage of. Thank you. I yield the well.
Senators yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Senator from the 28th, you like to speak to the bill?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise so that the senator from the 14th can ask me a question.
Senator from the 14th.
Mr. President, I wasn't expecting this. Senator, do you yield?
I yield.
Senator, isn't it true that she supported our CRNA amendment earlier in this session?
Oh, that's all you got?
Oh, yeah. You really? You're going to leave? This is bingo. All right, whatever. Get out of here.
Senator from the 18th, you'd like to speak to the bill?
Thank you, Mr. President. The hour's late, and I'll be short, but I do want to help my friend, the senator from the 7th. I know there's some questions that the senator from the 53rd had, but I will tell you we had 2 hearings on this issue, and I think everyone, by the end of the 2nd hearing, I think, Senator, this bill came out unanimous from the committee. It is a good program. We had a retired Army major who is running the company that came and talked about the purpose, the business purpose of his company is to try to prevent other veterans who need access to professional counseling on how to get these disability benefits, not being subject to dealing with folks that are unscrupulous that take most of the money that they get for them. And he talked about the industry standards and the percentages that he gets, which is norm. And the idea is to prevent other companies and people that are in a position to take advantage of veterans who need these disability benefits from paying excessive fees. I think everyone on the committee was very satisfied with the credibility of the people that came, and it's a good bill, and I would encourage everyone in the chamber to support and vote for it. Any questions?
We do have one question, Senator.
Yes, sir.
Senator from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, you yield?
I do.
Senator, there's a question about compensation. Is it not true that on lines 40 and 41, you are allowed to be paid for these services, but that compensation can only be contingent upon an increase in benefits awarded?
That's correct.
Senator, will you further yield?
Yes.
Is it not true also that another portion of this bill requires you to disclose both orally and in writing that you're not affiliated with the Department of Defense or with any Veterans Administration or Veterans Service if you're going to be doing these services and not licensed or otherwise approved by them?
That's right, Senator. Thank you. That's great clarification so we understand how it works.
You have no more questions,
Okay,
Senator.
I yield the well. Let's vote this one and get moved on, folks. Thank you.
And thank you for the clarification, Mr. Pro Tem. Does any senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the reported committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The reported committee is is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 51st, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true I'm trying to help out some of our folks in the room that are gambling tonight? This bingo card, and isn't it also true that there are some homemade apple pies from my district in the anteroom?
All right, Senator. Thank you for that information. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Only got a few more. Recognize Senator from the 52nd for a motion.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to remove Senate Bill 457 from the table.
Senator has moved that Senate Bill 457 be removed from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 457, a bill by Senator Huff Stetler of the 52nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 46 of the OCGA relating to public utilities and public transportation, so as to reestablish a consumer utility council to represent consumers in matters before the Public Service Commission or other agencies concerning public utilities and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowser of the 46th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Hearing none, recognize the Senator from the 52nd to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring before you Senate Bill 457, which will restore the Consumer Utility Council that was in 2008 eliminated during the Great Recession. So we will join 46 other states in having this representative, including every state around Georgia. And if there are no questions, or if there are questions, I'll yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the second, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, is it not true that this bill will help hardworking Georgians?
Senator knows what he speaks. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53 and the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand in recess until 11:59 p.m. and then stand adjourned pursuant to H.R. 978 until 10 a.m. Monday, March 4th.
Majority Leader has moved. Secretary, read the announcements.
Mr. President, the Rules Committee meeting has been canceled. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The Majority Leader has moved that the Senate stand in recess until 11:59, then stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Monday, March 4th. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes clearly have it. Have a good weekend.